You're listening to Generation AI
from LivePerson.
Hello, Generation AI listeners. It is your host, Nirali Yaman. Before we jump in, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button and leave us a rating on your favorite podcast if you haven't already done so. We love hearing from you, especially your thoughts on future guests. Speaking of guests, we have a very special one today, LivePerson CEO John Sabino. The last time John appeared on this podcast, it was to share his thoughts on some of our most impressive guests and upcoming trends. So we brought him back again since you all asked for him to come back. It was such
I'm flattered.
So we're going to have John get him to talk about his POV on all of the podcasts that we have. Guests from Tiffany, Avaya, Frostbank, and more. And as well share some of the trends that we're seeing in the market that is happening today and in 2025. But let's start with a quick introduction. For those of you who don't know John, he is a longtime leader across enterprise software, loves digital transformations, and is absolutely obsessed with customer experience. He joined LivePerson as the CEO at the start of 2024, and since then, he's been working closely with our top brands across the world on conversation strategies. And of course, automation and AI are huge parts of cracking the code. So welcome, John. Thank you so much for having us, together and talking about what's to come.
I'm flattered to be invited back, to be honest, Nirali. I guess I'm doing something right if I get to do this again. So it's great to be here and with everybody who's watching. So thanks again. I'm excited to talk about today's topic too, because it's involving, our customers, and I get to see some really, really great ideas out there. So happy to jump in and have this conversation today.
Great. Thank you. So, Will, before we jump in into your thoughts on the top trends our guests have shared so far this season, I want to set the stage a little bit for us in our conversation. You and I, and I think a lot of us have also spoken recently a lot about the concept that gives a lot of the business leaders pause today. And that is the idea of that good enough digital and AI experience are truly not good enough for their customers in the long-term strategy. Can you tell us, our listeners, a little bit more about on this?
Yeah, it's interesting. When I first stepped in with the company, my background, as I've said on the other podcasts, has always been a chief customer officer. So looking at technology and how it's being adopted and making sure that customers are successful with the technology that they buy. And I've been watching this trend where people are all talking about generative AI and its capabilities and how it's going to transform everything. And in the process of doing so, you see people break down into two camps. This one camp of automate everything, and then this other camp of, I'm a little bit too afraid to use it, and they're not taking the leaps that they probably should. And, the truth of the matter is that it's not about generative AI or a technology. It's about the experience your brand is trying to build, and AI is a tool in that. And so I'll give you, two interesting things I've heard. I've heard one CEO that many people know talk about building 1 billion bots. We're going to go out there and build 1 billion bots. I think it sounds great and it rolls off the tongue, but that's not what your customers want. Customers don't want 1 billion bots. Customers want an effective customer experience. They want to solve their challenges if they have a problem, or they want, if they're, working with your brand or your company, they want to know what the next best thing is that they just should be buying and using from you. And having an ongoing dialogue with you. And that's a little bit beyond the bot in many cases. And so I'll give you a very quick example. My wife needed to change a plane ticket yesterday, and I was working from home after the holiday, and she couldn't solve the issue online because it was a flight, with a co-branded flight. So she had to get on hold, and she sat there waiting and waiting and waiting. And we know that, we've seen some studies where people would rather do housework or, clean their garage than being on hold. And the real question is how can automation and AI help out with those things? In her case, she already had a ticket. It's pretty simple. Her phone number when she's calling in. That there was a web interaction. And so what I believe, and I think what customers are really asking for, is how do you step in and bridge this digital journey? Some of it needs to be bought and automated. Some of it needs to have human interaction. But it needs to be looked at holistically to bridge the gap. It's not about 1 billion bots and taking all the cost out. It's about what experience do you want your customer to have? And our perspective at LivePerson is really being a bridge to take the current infrastructure and ecosystem you have and push it further, make it do more, and actually line up that experience so that your customer has a successful outcome in whatever it is they're trying to do. And I think a digital ecosystem is by and large the best way to do that, but it has to have humans involved. So those are the trends those are the things we're seeing customers are asking for. And those are the trends we're seeing emerge and starting to take precedence now that you better have AI or your job is on the line hype is starting to calm down. Now people are looking for return, and you only get return when that experience drives a sale, a quicker outcome or solution for a customer so they feel good about the experience, or giving you more intelligence to say, what is the next best thing this customer can do with us, or I can do for that customer. And that's where this is going. That's the trend, this connected digital experience, this connected digital conversation. And I think AI is an important tool in that for scale.
Yeah, I love it. I think if you put it in a different lens to it, it's very much about what are you trying to solve for and what outcome does it deliver versus just buying feature functionality or deploying things for the sake of deploying them because someone out there is saying it's cool enough.
Right. And let's just grab it really quick, Nirali. Like, for example, when someone needs, what is my bank balance? What's my account number? When's my bill coming? Perfect automation opportunity. But when you see a discrepancy or you have a concern, being able to get to a human or to the right FAQ with the most updated information for your next step to solve a problem is critical. And that's not always automation. That's probably going to be a human in a tango, as we call it at LivePerson, leveraging generative AI, leveraging knowledge bases to give those answers to customers and help them out. Additionally, if a customer's calling in for something or very quick, give me my account number, my bill, you should know about that as an agent to know that they interacted with your brand 2 or 3 weeks ago. Maybe they need help making a payment. Maybe they need extended payment terms. Maybe they're paying something down to buy something or go on a vacation. These are all nuggets of information that if you can bring into the customer journey, they have massive, massive payoffs in the end. And I think now, not for the first time, but now it's realistic to expect that type of knowledge and experience. So that's what I'm talking about. It's not an isolated customer care call. It's part of the fabric of the customer journey. And you need to take those experiences, knit them together, and give a successful outcome. That is what today's customers expect.
Agreed. So speaking of experiences now, another trend, or rather, I would say an interesting take on how innovation and capabilities are moving at another intersection where I think our listeners will be very interested, your take on systems of record versus systems of application or action. These big implications to how enterprises think about them and driving the outcomes we just talked about before. So can you explain the difference in how you see it impacting the future?
This is the thing that I'm really zeroing in on. And it's become very clear to me now, sitting in the position that I do today and talking to so many CCOs, CIOs, CEOs, and even CTOs and chief digital officers, that much of the infrastructure that customers have today is necessary, but it was never designed to actually close the sale, successfully address the issue, and then update your knowledge base and everybody else and make you better every single time. And so we're using these terms like system of action and system of intelligence versus system of record. CRM system of record. CCaaS, it's designed as a high volume, high velocity phone interaction, not necessarily feeding the next customer interaction. Same things with ERP systems and marketing systems. Many of the marketing systems are designed to get a sentiment out there versus picking up on an individual desire, need, or perspective and carrying that through the brand experience. So all of these platforms that our customers have, they're necessary. You need to have a system of record, a way of storing information. But what is more important is the system of action that lays on top of that pulls from all these different capabilities to drive the customer experience. And that's realistic today with and I'm going to plug LivePerson here for a second, but when you have a digital ecosystem and you have a digital conversation capability that can pull from real-time voice, it can pull from email, it can pull from your messaging or third-party messaging capabilities in chat or a website and pull that together. Now you have a very powerful set of information to digitally guide the customer. And these are things that were pretty difficult to do in the past. And now when you put generative AI in that, it makes pulling this data together in a way that is useful much easier than ever before. And it lets you get to the proper outcome depending on the channel or question or personalization that the customer is looking for. And I think a perfect example of this is a company like Signet Jewelers. You'd never think of this, but they are one of the world's largest diamond sellers and jewelers. And what I meant by you would never think about this, but they're using generative AI to actually engage with customers and give them the next best alternative or possible solution. Meaning, I can see that you're looking at these types of diamonds on our website. I can see you're looking at it for an engagement. I can see you have an anniversary coming up and you were looking at these types of pieces of jewelry. Their agents are actually using that to communicate with customers, figure out the customers that are ready to buy, and engage with them, give them the lists of options that will fulfill that customer's need and wish. It's not a push on the sale. It's actually taking what the customer's interested in and customizing that conversation so that it has more value. And so what you're seeing there is they didn't build a CRM system. They have one, but they didn't use that to automate. They weren't using inventory systems. They were using a digital conversation across the top and our generative AI to empower that human agent to actually engage with the customer on things that they're interested in. And with their knowledge of diamond and jewelry, making better, even better suggestions there with the customer. And not only that gives you a better customer experience. And so I think Signet Jewelers is right there. Like, this is a perfect example of a digital system of action using generative AI to make a human interaction more efficient and better and fulfilling the end customer's desire or wish. And that's just it. People keep coming back. They're growing, they're doing well. And it's great to see how they are using a digital conversation or a system of intelligence to empower the sales process and create happy customers. That's the experience I would want if I was going out and buying jewelry. This is one of the most stressful purchases you can make. And I'd love to know that the person on the other side isn't just selling me what's in the counter. They're looking at everything I've been doing, trying to understand it and suggesting things to me, which might go along with what I was looking at originally. So that's a great use of this technology, I think.
Absolutely. And I think this really doubles down onto the whole promise of delivering the best digital experience. When you have the right orchestration with hyper personalization, you're solving or providing the right experiences at both the customer end and the agent end.
Right.
It's a win-win situation.
And think about it. It takes a whole bunch of systems of record and data sets to do this properly. Now, just imagine trying to customize one of those systems to do it all. Could you do it? Yeah, maybe. Will it be good enough? Maybe. Most of the time I'm seeing it's not. That's why I think it's going to take a best of breed solution where you're bringing in capabilities, leveraging what you have and getting a better total cost of ownership and outcome for your customer by being able to knit that journey together. And and that's the other thing. You don't want to get locked into one vendor or be waiting for the next piece of functionality to move your journey forward. It really is about thinking about your customer first. What do you want to design? Look at your current technology and ecosystem. And then how do you bring in generative AI in a digital conversation platform, whether it's in customer care, e-commerce, or direct sales and customer interaction, to knit it all together. And I still think that's the best strategy out there. And that's where we're seeing the most success versus somebody trying to do it all in one, because I just haven't seen it happen yet in any way of any quality. Let's put it that way.
There is another use case out there where you talked a little bit about the human or the agent experience. And I had the pleasure of interviewing Laura Miller from Cross-Bank at Money 2020 on the Generation AI podcast. And it's very clear that they've embraced beyond good enough, right? Yeah. They're taking a different lens. They're doing something really smart by putting generative AI into the hands of their agents so they can provide even a better human-to-human connected customer service experience. Their numbers are phenomenal, 95% CSAT by leveraging that. Your thoughts, one, on that approach, and second, how brands can leverage some of these capabilities to start their crawl, walk, run, and sprint approach with AI.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up crawl, walk, run. We'll talk a little bit about that. And I think that's the right way to think about AI and how do you bring it into your ecosystem and into your company and then ultimately to engage with your customers. But let's talk a little bit about Frost and what I love so much about them. This is a bank that knows their customers and they know what their brand is about. And they are about this human interaction that money is not just numbers, but it's also an emotional thing. And it's also about creating dreams and seeing your clients go on to have financial security. There's a lot to banking more than just the numbers, and why people select the banks that they have a relationship with. It's a meaningful one. And Frost has used generative AI to engage with customers in a way to bring their information together so that one-to-one interaction that they pride so much, and that human interaction and knowledge of who my banker is now made even better. Now think about this. People move on from jobs, agents switch out, and your best ones are the ones that have been around for years, and they know all the back ends and how everything works and where all the information is. Now imagine if you could take those years of experience, and now very quickly shrink it down to weeks or months, because someone now has a tool that can mimic that level of institutional knowledge, that they can go out and grab all the relevant information, or they very quickly can crawl through a set of subsystems or systems of record and pull up the stuff that's meaningful for the conversation with the customer. Or a customer's doing great, and now you want to think about how you take them further on their financial journey. What would be the next steps for a customer that looks like the one you're talking to today? These are all the things that Frost Bank is doing. And they're not deploying a billion bots. It's their people talking to their customers using the best of generative AI to create an efficiency and a superior outcome. That's the important part for their customers. We've seen some statistics now. 50% of people say that they're interacting with a bot if they can get done what they want to get done. But if you ask them, would they prefer having a bot and a human, meaning a human leveraging the technology, over 70% of them, 75% of them are saying, that's what I want. I want that personalization, the human interaction, but I want a quick, intelligent resolution to my issue or my need. So this gets back to crawl, walk, run. I think for most companies, customers, brands that are looking to bring generative AI in, the first things you want to do is really get your digital ecosystem up and running. And that's usually human-based messaging, or the ability to use messaging, email, and real-time voice in a combination that drives a superior outcome in an efficient way, in the most efficient channel. That I think is step one. That's where most people should start. If you have that, digital voice, email, and web, all the traditional capabilities to interact with your customer digitally, and maybe in real time versus voice, but a digital signal. Once you have that, then it's about doing a little bit of what Frost Bank was doing, which is bringing in, let me skip for a second. Then it's about bringing in automation to get rid of the vast majority of customer service or customer inquiries that really is just hitting a knowledge base really quick, or hitting a data point and giving it back to the customer so they can get on with their day. And that's where you start to see bots coming in. And that's really your walk phase. Now your run, and this is where Frost Bank is at, and is bringing in automation, bots, and then generative AI to make the human interaction when necessary that much better, that much smarter, and bringing down that training time on agents so all of your agents are acting in a highly proficient, company approved way of interacting with customers that's on brand and using the right information. When you get that together, your digital ecosystem, some automation to be more efficient, and now you're using generative AI when humans interact with the customer, you're on fire. And that's exactly what Frost Bank did. And I think the sprint aspect of this is, as the technology improves, you'll see more and more use of generative AI and bots for more complex tasks. But I think it is a mistake for most brands to take the humans out. And I'll end on this. I'm so sure of that opinion, that humans need to be overseeing this and looking at it and interacting with it, that you're actually seeing legislation being passed in the United States, or potentially being passed in the United States, Australia, and even in Europe, where banking and critical services like healthcare cannot have a fully automated loop where you get caught in this bot response loop and you can't get to a human. That, I think, highlights this Billion-Bot Fallacy. It's not about full automation. It's about intelligent automation. It's about an excellent customer journey. And it's about efficiency gains through the human-machine interaction on bringing information back to solve complex tasks and take care of your customers. That is what you're trying to do, not automate away cost. That is a very small part of what this journey is about. So I hope that hits your answer. And I really think the crawl, walk, run mentality is the way that people should approach this. You're not going to lose out by throwing a billion bots out there. You may actually create a really big mess for yourself if you jump and you didn't put all those other pieces in place first.
And you literally hit on what I was going to close this section with and go next one. It is so important for our listeners and brands that are contemplating generative AI, if they haven't started or have started somewhere, to really have a blueprint and a maturity framework. I think the fallacy of billion bots, everyone's trying to go into the sprint phase without really starting with the basics, building upon it. Because going to that end, you're not going to see a return. You're not going to see value out of it. In fact, you're going to always have technology fail for you.
You stand a very high probability of that, or doing something that's going to harm your brand, which can erase all the good that you did with the efficiency. I agree with you, Nirali. I hope everyone that's listening realizes what I am really trying to say is understand you're having a conversation with a customer. The most optimal mechanism to do that usually is digital, but you have to have the ability for voice and you have to have the ability for a human to interact. And ultimately what you're trying to do is get a solution and answer to a customer and have brand affinity or the loyalty or their desire to stay engaged with you increase with every touch point you have. That's the goal. It's pretty exciting, actually.
Very much so. Perfect segue into another channel that is coming into the digital fold, if I may say so. So another trend that we discussed in this season's podcast was the intersection of voice and digital. In fact, Natalie Romano from Avaya joined us to talk about their latest innovations around the voice front, including their partnership with LivePerson. Your thoughts around the impetus behind the intersection of voice and digital, and the future generations on how they will start engaging with both.
Yeah, I'll try and keep this one tight. Voice isn't going to be an essential part of the conversation. It always has been, always will be. It'll be decades, I think, before people would say, I don't want voice at all. And I don't even know if we're going to ever come to that day. But voice matters because I think when you digitize the voice stream or you look at it in real time with other data sets next to it, it provides a very rich data set to work with. And I also think the data set is important because it's how you train AI models. It's important to improve the digital response every single time. So voice is a critical part of this. I think our partnership with Avaya is critical. We're thinking about Cisco and Amazon. We shouldn't say we're thinking, we're actually working with them as well. Because I firmly believe voice is a channel that needs to be served, and the data set that comes out of that when digitized, it's extremely valuable for an overall customer experience. And many of the most rewarding interactions I have are when I do talk to a human at a company. And I think brands want to continue some of that within a efficient and affordable cost model for their particular company or brand. So it's vital. And I think, but it's not the only thing. And this is what I go back to. Having a CCaaS vendor that's looking at cost per call, volume, running call centers with thousands of people may not be the best partner to work with when you're thinking about digitizing efficiency, using generative AI, having the right automations, workflows, and orchestration across multiple systems. I think, again, that you want the best you can afford and use in voice. You want the best, most versatile digital platforms, and you want to be able to choose your own LLMs and generative AI that suit your business. And I think you need platforms. I'm going to plug LivePerson again, like LivePerson, that can bring all of that together for you into a seamless customer journey. And that's what we strive to do.
Very well put.
Thank you.
Next one, I have a very strong opinion on this one, and I want to see if you are aligned with it. For generative AI, or for any, I would say, digital ecosystem to be successful, data is important.
Yeah.
And I wanted to really touch on something that Darren from Tiffany said in one of the podcasts that I think takes us to this full circle of hyper-personalization, delivering the right value, but taking it to the next level. And Darren said data capture is the most important thing because we have to think, what is the next best action after them? And for him, when you listen to that podcast, the next best action was not only just coming up with matching specific clients with, their specific advisors who know them, but it's very much moving of that mindset from system of record to action, because once you match them to their personalized advisors, they, like you said, they know their tastes, they know what moments in life are coming up.
Yeah.
Or if the moments in life have changed, they're able to provide them with the right recommendations that are made or that are provided by AI based on, whether they have it in their merchandise, there's something new upcoming, if it's something there. So your take on data playing a huge part in the, this evolution of hyper personalization.
Yeah, Darren's a very sharp individual, and he absolutely has it right. Data is everywhere. It's all about what you do with it. And I think when I keep going back to what is the experience that you're trying to design for your customer, that is the high level statement for what information do you have to make your customer journey more efficient and better. And again, you need static systems of record. You need a CRM system. You need databases. You need ERPs and CPQ system. Like, these are important parts of running your business at scale, but they are not designed for what you do with the information. In many regards, CRM is a roll-up tool for your pipeline. Your ERP is aligning your pricing and your costing to your inventory. Neither of those systems, and marketing is you're looking out there and taking sentiment and maybe blasting, emails or some type of messaging out to a large profile of customers. They're not designed to do what needs to be done, which is a personalized journey in a digital experience for every customer you come in contact with. And data is the fuel upon which that structure actually operates. So I think Darren's right on. Data is critical, and that's why I'm a big proponent of taking a voice signal and turning it into a digital and bringing it in with email interactions, messaging. I went all through that already, so I won't hit it again, but it's an important data set going forward. And next best action and that's the other thing too. It lets you route your customers more intelligently. If you have a customer care issue and it's not a simple one and it's got to go to a tier 3, having that data to route to the right agent to solve that problem is critical. On the flip side of it, if it's data coming in from conversations, websites, interaction with ads and things like that say somebody's looking to buy, you want to get to the rep or the sales agent that either knows that customer, serves their region, or is best suited to talk about product or service that customer wants. So Darren is already thinking like that. And that's where I encourage everybody to go to. Generative AI, a tool. CCaaS, CRM, platforms, they bring data. They have very specific tasks in which they were built for 20 some odd years ago. What you need to be thinking about now is, how do I take that data and actually organize a digital journey or a digital conversation? And how do I take a static system of record and use a system of intelligence and action to activate for my customers? Because I think that's the quickest way to get there to the outcome.
Thank you, John. So listeners, if I may summarize this podcast in a few points for you as you're going through your journey. One, very important, have a blueprint and have a maturity framework, where you want to start and how you want to scale to drive the outcomes and the experiences you want to deliver. Two, look at systems and ways that you want to drive the right orchestration and personalization. So you need to have a system of record to help you do that, but you also need a system of action. Third, you need a system of intelligence, because data will be king here. Data will help you make the right decisions. And last, let's turn your contact center's agents into super agents. Give them the right tools with generative AI frameworks so they can be empowered to drive even better custom experiences for you. So now that we've done the official part of the podcast, let's go into something fun, John.
I thought the first half was fun, Nirali, but
both sides are fun.
Yeah.
But one, we're obsessed about our customers and experiences. I think that's the fun part. And then the second part is like talking about our own experiences as well. All right. So I have two questions for you to wrap up.
Yeah.
As we embrace the season of gratitude and reflect on 2024, while we're looking ahead in 2025, is there someone in your life who hasn't received full recognition that you think that they deserve? and you'd like to acknowledge because they've been a huge part of this journey with you?
Oh my gosh. That caught me off guard. Yeah, my wife. She always stands by my side on every decision I make in life, and she's what makes everything work. She's my best friend. She was with me when I was jumping out of planes in the military, and now she's with me as I'm jumping out the door on technology every day. And she's just an awesome human, my best friend. And while I always tell her I love her and thank you, I don't think it's ever enough of the things she does in my life. And then lastly, I have to thank all the people at our company. I was just with them over Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and just seeing how hard everybody works to make sure our customers are successful. I'm blessed to be around people who think about service and supporting others as being their primary driver versus, profit matters. But I don't think that's what is the heart and soul of the company I work for, or material wealth being what my family's after. It's really about living a life of service, supporting the people you love, and in our case at LivePerson, supporting our customers. So a big thank you to our company, our people who are working so hard for all of our customers out there. And again, thanks to my wife for just letting me take this adventure with everybody, and just supporting me in whatever crazy decisions I'm making. She's always been there. Sorry, I couldn't give you one. I had to give you two.
I will take both. Very important. And thank you for your leadership and vision. I think we have been able to drive so many of these experiences with your support. Awesome. All right, John, let's go through hype it or hate it.
All right.
So I'm going to put 60 seconds on the clock, and we're going to start with Nirali. You're going to have 60 seconds to hype or hate whatever you want to hype or hate. I will let you know when you have 30 seconds left. I will let you know when you have 10 seconds left, and then I will let you know when your time is up and a timer will, or a buzzer will sound. And then, John, you will have a chance to respond or weigh in on whatever Nirali has talked about, and then it'll be your turn. So, are we all ready?
I think so.
Yes.
All right. So 60 seconds is on the clock, and Nirali, your time starts now.
Right. I am going to share a love it experience. I am traveling to India very shortly, but taking it via, it's not a nonstop flight, it's via another country. And my airline of choice that I always travel with realized it's not where I usually travel, and they sent me personalized messages based on the long duration of, we can organize a personal assist for you because you've not been to this airport. Here's an airport map. Here's the lounge closest to you. And that just shows what we just talked about, taking all of the data that they know about me, my choices, and giving me a hyper-personalized experience. So I don't have to worry about a long duration in another country of where I should be hanging out,
10 seconds,
food, etc. So I am loving that experience right now.
That's awesome, Nirali. I wish that was the airline I was dealing with yesterday.
I know. When you said that, I was like, oh, bummer.
Yeah. And it's not one of our customers. Let's be clear. It's a different airline. They need to be one of our customers. That was great, Nirali.
All right. So, John, it is your turn now. So, same deal. Going to put 60 seconds on the clock, and you will have a chance to hype or hate something. I will let you know when you have 30 seconds left, 10 seconds, and when your time is up. So, are you ready?
All right.
You can go ahead and start in 3, 2, 1.
Okay. So those that know me know that I'm big into two things, sports and video games. So my video games, I build my own computers, really into it. And I typically play games like Assassin's Creed, Baldur's Gate, things like that, really heady fantasy type of games. But my son is really big into football games. And so he got me playing NCAA 2024 over the holidays with him and my kids and the rest of our family. And we had a blast. And I graduated from West Point, and Notre Dame beat us recently. And so I got to relive that football game and destroy my son playing Army against him as Notre Dame. And I couldn't believe the level of graphics. You could see sweat on the players, the fans. Each guy had their own dance. You could switch. You could put your name on the back of the jersey. So you talk about choice, Nirali. To me, this was one of the best video game experiences I've ever had. So it was fantastic. I absolutely love that game. Highly recommend it.
Love it. It's so amazing when you can relive those moments, but then also have new experiences come across, and you're like, oh, I wish.
I've never had so much fun with like 20 people sitting around a TV screen playing a video game. It's awesome. It's a whole new experience.
They always level it up. Thank you all for our listeners. It's a wrap for season of 2024. We hope to bring you more guests, more information in 2025. So thank you all for listening. As I mentioned earlier, please subscribe and leave us comments on upcoming topics, trends that you would like us to discuss, or if there are any guests that you would like us to bring to share industry knowledge.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are very welcome, John, and happy holidays to everyone.
Yep, happy holidays. Be well.
You've been listening to Generation AI,
Automating Better Business,
a show from LivePerson.
Never miss an episode by subscribing to the show in your favorite podcast player. Please give us a rating, leave a comment, and share the episodes you love. Until next time.